Hey guys, how you doing? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report with tip number 2 of our 30 tips in 30 days series. And what we're going to talk about today, guys, is the law of average theory. And I got this tip from a good friend of mine, Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. And what you want to do with this tip is, let's say during a very busy college football Saturday when they got 60, 70 football games going, and you're like, okay, how do I pinpoint to, say, 2 or 3 games? Well, you need a process of elimination, right? And this is a great way to start it. What you want to look for is teams that lost their last game straight up and against the point spread versus a team that won their game straight up and against the point spread, because the bookmaker will know that, and then he will make adjustments to the line, because they know that the betting public will always look at the last game results and factor that into their betting into the following week. And the first thing they're going to look at is a team that won by about 30, 40 points, and thinking that they can duplicate that performance. And we've all know sports. Every week's a different challenge, right? Now, speaking of challenge, the bookmaker's challenge, and here's the advantage the bookmaker has, in my opinion, over the betting public. Because they get to set the line first, they're on offense. And because we are reacting to their line, we're on defense. So we got to flip the switch and find a way to find a weakness in their lines and get back on offense and make them adjust their line. So that's why when you see the line move, I always feel like, okay, good, we're back on offense because we're forcing them to move their lines, right? It's just the way I think as a sports bettor. Now, the types of role you see in football, or in all sports for that matter, you have a favorite, you have an underdog, a home, and an away, right? So those are 4 things you got to consider when you're handicapping. And when I'm looking at the types of losses, is there any such thing as a good loss or a bad loss? I think there is, and I'll give you an example in baseball. So this season, it's now Tuesday, June 29th, and I went to my database and I said, all right, let's go look at every Major League Baseball team that played as a favorite, and they're coming off a 10 or more run loss in their last game this season. And lucky enough, look at the number, 12-3 straight up for those favorites winning the next game. And I also did the other, that's a good loss, right? A good loss for that, it's a bad loss for the team. It's a good loss for us, the bettors, because the betting public will always overreact off a bad loss like that. But for us, that it's just gravy, right? Because now the betting public that will have low confidence in that team winning the next game, where I see it as a great opportunity to bet on those teams, and so sort of having like a contrarian mindset. Now, how about when favorites are coming off a game where they won by 10 or more runs in their last game? Not as lucrative as coming off a loss. 14-12, and this is why the law of average theory, in my view, is one of the best ways to look at sports betting, and this is a good tip here to approach when you are going to bet on sports. Now, looking at, speaking of the roles I was talking about, favorites, underdogs, home or away. So what I've done is I've taken the moneyline sports, NHL and MLB, and I always say this in my videos, where can you find value? And this year in the NHL, the value lied on favorites coming off a straight up win or a straight up loss. In fact, when the favorites in NHL came off a win, they were hitting at 61% in the next game, but it was a little bit better if they were coming off a loss, and they were winning at a 64% clip. And so far this year in baseball, if you can get a favorite coming off a win, they're recovering or winning 61% of their games. And if they're a home team, funny enough, not as good as coming off a win straight up, but home teams coming off a win, so they don't have to be a favorite, just home teams coming off a win, 58%. So it does pay to back the home teams in baseball. Now, where did the value lie in the NBA this season? Well, if we look at the point spread here, and I'm going to look at this column right here. This is the straight up victories, and this is the point spread, right? This is the point spread, and this is the straight up. So favorites in the NBA coming off a win only covered 51% of their games, but they won 66% of their games. So in the NBA, you expect the favorites to win, and they were winning at a 65% clip. But for them to cover the spread in different roles that they're in, the bookmaker, they know. And look at that. All the yellows, neutral numbers to me. Those are numbers from 46 to about 56%, the range. So there's not a lot of value trying to find winners in the NBA. You gotta have some type of system, because look how sharp these numbers are trying to find value on the point spread in the NBA. Now, the NFL is a little bit different. So here I did last season. So I want to know, how did favorites do coming off a win? And you know what? Funny enough, favorites coming off a win against the point spread, 69 and 81%. For 46%, 69 and 81 was their record for 46%, but their straight up record, 69%. So favorites in all sports, as you can see, will win 60 to 65% of their game, but favorites coming off an ATS loss won 41 and 17 on the season, so 71%. So if you can find an NFL team that's coming off an ATS loss and they're a favorite, according to last year, 41 and 17 for 71 and 73% straight up. And the reason I'm telling you that is if you can get a favorite that's like in a -3, -2 area, might be some value in that respect, right? And if you look at here, favorites coming off an ATS win, 48 and 18. So if you combine that together, that is 89, and you got here 35. So do the math, you can see it's a pretty good record, right? So anyway, just wanted to show you that today, guys. Those are some of the fun facts we always try to entertain you with here at the Raymond Report. But again, the law of average theory does work. And once you found a team that lost their last game straight up and against the point spread, the challenge is to go find which value in which role you want to support them in the next game. Cheers.